with either Archie or Lily, and it needs to happen. They need to prove that those children, Meghan and Harry, are not entitled to privacy in this matter. And their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard is going to sit on the throne of this country. All Harry and Meghan need to do is prove to us that she popped those babies out. And that's all they need to do. And if they don't, it is unfair on the children. It's also unfair on the royal family.
As we've seen Meghan Markle put out more and more content connected to her children, whether that's the pregnancy video that made the entire world cringe from secondhand embarrassment.
Doctor looked up, her mouth set in a particular way. Things were getting serious. I said to Meg, my love, you need a push.
Did Meghan Markle use a surrogate? That's been something posited literally for well over 3 years when it comes to her firstborn son Archie and even her daughter Lilibet. And many people even wonder, are their children even real?
Did Buckingham Palace or Prince William set a trap for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and were they gullible enough to fall into it?
This is absolutely insane that they thought they could get away with it, especially Meghan Markle and Harry. The con of the century, 2 cons of the century in the form of 2 royal children included in the line of succession.
Whole description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth, that was completely fabricated. We all know, the first interviews, we all know that she never intended to go to the Portland hospital. She intended to have the baby at home.
That Meghan put on her Instagram feed earlier this week with Archie in the garden. What did you see?
But I had to take my children to Professor Balstrup, who was the leading expert in the field at that time, at the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital it was, and he was going to be investigating. And of course, you know my boys, so you know they're very spirited. That she has that child in a vice-like grip. And it's, you know, if they were a husband and wife team, there are laws now about coercive control.
Something unsettling is unfolding behind the gates of Buckingham Palace, and it isn't rumor or tabloid chatter. It's colder, quieter, and far more serious. Insiders say senior advisors have begun what they're calling an internal verification review connected directly to Archie and Lilibet. For the monarchy, even considering this step is almost unthinkable. The crown fears uncertainty more than scandal, and confusion around lineage is its greatest threat. Titles can be taken away and duties can fade, but any question about bloodline shakes the institution in a way nothing else can.
Everything she's done has only drawn more speculation and brought the controversies back up about how Meghan and Harry have handled all of this, as well as the rumors that perhaps they used a surrogate for one or both of the children.
Those kinds of questions put the entire institution on edge, because if the monarchy has ever lived by one rule, it's this: the line of succession must never be in doubt. So why now? Why approach the one subject the palace usually avoids at all costs? Sources say a series of small inconsistencies finally reached a point where ignoring them became impossible. These weren't major mistakes, just quiet irregularities, missing details, and paperwork that didn't align with long-standing royal procedures. On their own, each issue seemed harmless, but together, they created a pattern no one inside the palace could dismiss.
Where are the children? Where are Harry and Meghan's kids? And do they honestly exist? Now, I know that that's kind of like a little bit conspiratorial, but you know what? I'm down the rabbit hole now since I've accepted the moon bump story. And if the moon bump story was true and she didn't actually have these pregnancies, then is it possible that she has faked having the kids?
When that pattern finally reached senior officials, the palace quietly began digging. Their first stop was the earliest official record connected to the Sussex children: Archie's birth certificate. For most families, a birth certificate is routine paperwork. For the royal family, it is a constitutional document, the first legal proof of identity for someone who may sit near the line of succession. Every detail is expected to be clear, consistent, and permanent. But Archie's certificate didn't stay that way. Months after his birth, something was quietly changed. Meghan's full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, was removed.
California Birth Index, and per the website at the californiabirthindex.org, the California Birth Index, or CABI, is a database that stores records of births in California, extracts of birth certificates. Putting her full official name of Rachel Meghan Markle, you can see that the official records show.
If you are enjoying this takedown, please hit that subscribe button. In its place appeared only the title, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. No first name, no last name, just the Crown-approved styling. Within royal bureaucracy, an edit like that is not just unusual, it's nearly unheard of. Someone must request it, someone must approve it, someone must log it, and there must be a strong justification for altering a foundational record for a future royal child. Yet when investigators looked back, nothing aligned. Meghan said the palace ordered the change. Palace insiders insisted Meghan's side pushed for it. There was no single clear explanation, and worse, no solid paper trail showing why the edit happened at all.
Even though Meghan had let it be known she wanted a home birth, it was probably very realistic that her first child at 37, it was going to be born in hospital.
So at the time, Archie Mountbatten Windsor was born May 6, 2019.
For the palace, uncertainty is more dangerous than open controversy. If the certificate was altered once, the real question became why it needed to be altered at all, and what else in Archie's early timeline didn't match. Those concerns pushed the review deeper, all the way to the day he was born. Once staff pulled the certificate, they began retracing every detail surrounding his birth, and that's when the second wave of irregularities surfaced. Not scandals, just small breaks from the royal pattern, details the monarchy normally handles with near military precision. Meghan and Harry did things differently, and that difference created even more questions.
What Meghan and Harry did instead was they did not announce it when Meghan went into labor, for whatever reason. They kept Archie's birth private for over 8 hours. They did not tell people that he was actually born and arrived until 8 hours later. They also issued a confusing press release suggesting Meghan had just gone into labor after Archie had already been born. So they were playing games here with this. And the result was that the media and the public felt misled because they were misled.
For decades, every royal baby has followed the same sequence: a verified birth, an official medical statement, a palace bulletin, and then a controlled photo moment. But with Archie, the order appeared reversed. The world learned he was born before any traditional confirmation had been released. Hours passed before clarity arrived, and even then, the information was vague. No hospital steps, no verified witness statements. Just a brief appearance days later that felt staged, leaving more questions than answers. They made their own choices, but nothing about it matched the usual royal rhythm.
They decide, okay, well, we have to come out and show the baby in some way, but we're not coming out to the street. The filthy masses are not going to have anything to do with our kid. So then they show up, and there's Meghan in her white dress with Harry, and he's holding this completely still baby.
Then came the confusion over the location. Early reports pointed to one hospital, while later statements suggested another. Behind the scenes, staff reportedly struggled to match the timeline with standard royal procedure. Royal births typically involve midwives, physicians, and senior officials who sign and witness key stages. Everything is documented because it has to be. But when investigators reviewed Archie's timeline, they found gaps, not enough to claim wrongdoing, but enough to question whether the process followed true royal standards. Those missing pieces created a quiet tension the palace could not ignore.
That it just really kind of boggles the mind. I mean, just for titles, for example. So when Archie was first born, they said they didn't want him to have a title. He was going to be a private citizen. I was like, bravo, you understand. He's not going to be a working member of the royal family. He is going to have to live a normal life, get a normal job. That is fantastic. And then it came out later in the Oprah Winfrey interview. Well, they denied him a title and security because he is a mixed race child. And then it was kind of and then later she kind of backtracked and said,
if Archie's timeline felt unclear, Lilibet's became something entirely different. Archie's paperwork raised questions, but Lilibet's birth introduced a level of uncertainty the palace had never faced. Her arrival was announced entirely through Meghan and Harry's team in California. No British doctors, no royal medical staff, no palace bulletin, and no traditional easel outside Buckingham Palace. There wasn't even a confirming statement from the royal household. Instead, the public received a polished announcement and a few carefully selected photos. For an ordinary public figure, that might seem acceptable. For a child linked to the royal bloodline, it broke centuries of protocol.
Meghan just went into labor when really Archie had been born for several hours at that point is a foolish game to play. And it only diminished credibility and trust, and it honestly made people kind of mad and irritated about the situation, because it's like, well, why would you do that? Why are you lying to people? Why are you trying to mislead people?
Royal births are normally verified by Crown-approved medical professionals. Records are filed immediately, witnesses are logged, and the location is confirmed. But with Lilibet, none of those familiar steps were visible. As investigators reconstructed her timeline, contradictions grew. Even Meghan's pregnancy appearances, seen through Zoom calls and paparazzi photos, didn't form a consistent picture. Some images made her appear further along, others suggested the opposite. On their own, these inconsistencies wouldn't matter. But combined with the absence of royal documentation, they fueled growing concern within the palace. And Buckingham Palace's silence only made things stranger. They neither confirmed nor denied anything, they simply watched. But the biggest red flag wasn't the birth. It was what came after, the event meant to bind Lilibet to the monarchy permanently, her christening. Before they could address that, advisors had to revisit something even more important.
You know, Harry and Meghan they would refuse to kind of show him. They finally kind of showed him off in South Africa, and it was very much, you know, kind of a display, and she went to the polo match, and again, people wondered because it's like, she just didn't, it was a very stiff way she was holding him. It was just looked odd, and you looked at her and compared her to Kate, and you can't help the comparisons. And Kate is playing with baby Louis, and he's, you know, kissing her, trying on sunglasses, and Meghan does not even look at Louis at all, and Louis is looking at her.
The laws defining who is and is not officially recognized as a royal child became the next critical focus. This is where the 1917 letters patent suddenly carried enormous weight. Issued under King George III, it outlines exactly which descendants of the monarch qualify for royal titles and formal recognition. But hidden within the old language is a far more important principle. 3 requirements the monarchy must verify without doubt. A lineage the crown can fully document. A birth that follows established royal procedure, ceremonies and confirmations carried out under the Church of England. These steps aren't optional traditions. They are constitutional safeguards meant to prevent confusion, disputes, and competing claims to the throne. And most of the time, these steps are easy to follow.
Duchess of Sussex, no longer HRH, was safely delivered of a son, and she and her child are both doing well. So back to the tradition of putting out a framed bulletin or a gilded easel outside Buckingham Palace after royal births has been going on since 1837, so it's a cool tradition. And George, Charlotte, and Louis' easels listed the doctors' names with signatures, birth weight and time, and referenced the royal family. But Archie's notably only included mention of the Queen and the royal family in the wording, but not on the actual document, and then they omitted the signatures from the doctor's presence, unlike previous notices.
Royal births normally take place in the UK under strict supervision, with witnesses, official records, and immediate filing. But with Archie and Lilibet, too much unfolded outside that system. A foreign birth, no royal medical witnesses, unclear timelines, and conflicting documentation. That led directly to the ceremony that should have settled every question, but instead created the largest one of all, the christening that was never recorded. A christening may appear to be a gentle family moment with candles, photos, and blessings. But inside the monarchy, it carries constitutional weight. It formally links a royal child to the Church of England, the institution tied directly to the crown. It becomes the child's first official spiritual and historical record, something the monarchy relies on to establish identity and legitimacy.
And then the next holiday card we see, I believe it was the famous Lilibet's born, and here's little Archie. And that little kid who's Archie doesn't look anything like the little kid we've seen in the Harry and Meghan documentary on Netflix that we saw. I don't know who that kid was in the picture, or even Lilibet doesn't look like the picture that they've shown of her. Those kids didn't look the same.
That is why Meghan's announcement about Lilibet's christening in California raised immediate concern within royal circles. If the ceremony had been legitimate under Church of England authority, there would be a clear, traceable record. A form, a registry entry, confirmation from a bishop, something concrete. Even private ceremonies leave documentation. But there was no entry, no signature, and no acknowledgement from the Archbishop's office. Unusual for any child, but for a child potentially connected to the royal succession, it borders on a constitutional crisis. Royal christenings must be witnessed, certified, and logged to eliminate all doubt about the child's standing in church and state. Yet the palace found nothing confirming Lilibet had been formally welcomed into the faith that defines the monarchy. Without that record, her royal connection isn't just uncertain, it is incomplete. And that missing piece pushed Buckingham Palace toward its next step, assembling a full internal case file.
Meghan Markle gave birth to Lily because this is what's called plausible deniability. They want to be able to say, hey, we never claimed that she was our daughter in that announcement. They're legally covering their backs. There's just too many unknowns. And then, of course, we have that the doctor that allegedly delivered Lily quit her practice 2 weeks after giving birth to Lily or delivering Lily. That sentence there is missing. That is a vital sentence that Meghan Markle chose not to put in an official statement because she knows she would get into a lot of legal trouble and she needed plausible deniability.
Once the christening issue reached the table, Buckingham Palace shifted from quiet observation to a structured, methodical review. This wasn't a public investigation or a scandal, it was an internal case file, the type used whenever something doesn't align with royal precedent. Senior advisors, archivists, constitutional lawyers, and clerical liaisons were brought in. Their goal wasn't to accuse Meghan or Harry of wrongdoing. It wasn't emotional or personal. It was simple. Rebuild every step of Archie and Lilibet's arrivals and measure them against royal standards. They began constructing a full timeline. Births, announcements, statements, ceremonies, documents, and every detail available to the crown, both public and private.
Just made the whole thing seem more bizarre. Meghan later claimed in interviews across Netflix and Oprah that Archie was denied a prince title due to institutional decisions, possibly rooted in race. Buckingham Palace's position was that Archie wasn't entitled to a title under current royal protocols, which reserve prince status for grandchildren of the monarch, not great-grandchildren, except for heirs in the direct line.
As the dates were filled in, more inconsistencies surfaced. Missing witnesses, missing hospital confirmations, and confusion over medical personnel. Together, these issues created a problem the crown could no longer overlook. For the monarchy, uncertainty is more dangerous than criticism because a disputed timeline creates doubt, and doubt weakens legitimacy, the foundation the institution depends on. As the case file thickened, one question became unavoidable. What does this mean for Meghan and Harry now? Inside Montecito, the atmosphere is nothing like the polished images posted online. They understand exactly what a royal review signals. It is far worse than backlash or negative headlines. For Meghan, the threat isn't just personal. It could dismantle her entire brand. Her post-royal identity relies on being viewed as a modern duchess, a mother of royal children, someone who left the palace but still carried its mystique. That mystique powered the Netflix deals, the book contracts, the interviews, and even the lifestyle products tied to her American Riviera orchard image.
Or talking about her experiences on podcasts or things like that, or just posting a lot more pictures. It has drawn a lot of attention to the controversies surrounding her kids, her pregnancies, how the children came into the world, the whole thing. Everything she's done has only drawn more speculation and brought the controversies back up.
But a royal mother without royal children, a duchess without a fully verified royal lineage, changes everything. For Harry, the impact cuts even deeper. This isn't business, it's identity. He grew up believing his bloodline mattered and that his children would naturally remain part of the monarchy's future. He assumed that even if he stepped away, his kids would still belong to something larger than any individual. Now he's watching that certainty fade. Reports say he has been calling senior royals in frustration, trying to understand what comes next. Yet nothing here Meghan says can stop the process now, which leads to the final question: what will the crown do next? With Buckingham Palace assembling its file, The last stage is the one Meghan and Harry fear most, the stage where the monarchy decides how to act. And the Crown always chooses whatever protects the institution, not the people involved. 3 outcomes are possible, and each would reshape everything surrounding Archie and Lilibet.
People wouldn't, for the rest of maybe Archie and Lily's life, they may deal with questions about this surrogacy. And the only people they have to blame are their own parents, who have fueled these rumors.
Option 1. Titles frozen. The palace could stop updating or expanding the children's titles. No removals, no announcements, just a silent freeze. They would remain listed, but without future recognition, no ceremonial roles, and no active royal status, slowly fading from the royal landscape. Option 2. Quiet reclassification. Without drawing attention, the palace could shift the children into the category of private individuals. No drama, no statements, just a discreet adjustment as their names move down or off official pages, treated as descendants living fully outside the royal structure. Option 3. Formal removal. The rarest and coldest option, but one the internal review now makes possible. If documentation cannot verify proper birth protocol or lineage standards, the Crown can legally remove titles and recognition entirely. No emotion, just the monarchy protecting its line. And that is the true message behind the review. The Crown survives, people do not. Meghan and Harry built an empire on royal mystique, but the palace holds the ink, and one signature could erase everything instantly. Before the story moves forward, tap like so more people see the truth. Subscribe for every royal twist, and share your thoughts below. Should the palace reveal everything publicly? Stay tuned. This saga is only beginning.